What's up guys, Mickle here, and the SEC just stepped up their enforcement actions big time. The SEC just went after two of the biggest players in the cryptocurrency industry. In this video, we're going to go over who those two people are, whether or not I think they are right. I actually think they have a case in one of these, but the other one I think is completely out of place. In this video, we're going to go over both of these new cases, as well as I'm going to show you some brand new clips from John Deaton breaking down the current status of the Ripple SEC case. Make sure to stick around for that. You are not going to want to miss it. Like always, your support means so much to this channel. If you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe. It's really going to help this channel out so much. Also, if you ever need a place to buy some XRP or the Flare token, make sure to check out the link in the description of this video for Uphold. With that said though, let's jump right into it, and I hope you guys enjoy the content. Now, for those of you who watch this channel daily, you know that I actually called out Tron and their founder Justin Sun the other day. Essentially, Justin Sun was saying that he wanted to buy Credit Suisse, and I was just saying, this seems like a really dumb, immature move. It doesn't make any sense. There's no way he's ever going to be able to buy Credit Suisse, and even if he did, what is he going to do? Force all the depositors to start using Tron token? It just didn't make any sense. Well, funny enough, the SEC actually filed a case against Tron earlier today. Now, I feel bad for anyone holding Tron. Personally, I'm not the biggest fan of Justin Sun. He just kind of seems like a wild card, kind of irresponsible, and not someone who I would want as the head of my cryptocurrency project. Now, essentially, the SEC is going after Justin Sun and Tron for a couple different reasons, and this is actually pretty bad. When I first read this, I didn't really pick up on this, but not only is the SEC going after Justin Sun for promoting Tron and paying influencers, but they're also saying that Justin Sun specifically was manipulating the market to prop up the price of Tron and try to make it worth more, which is essentially fraud and market manipulation. Now, I have no idea how true this is, but this is a very serious charge. This is not just some slap on the wrist. This is fully going after Justin Sun, and we're gonna have to see how this plays out. I know I say that all the time, but I can't rush to say that he was definitely doing this. It's a pretty intense charge. One thing I want to point out though is based on the things I was saying earlier, based on some of the dumb comments this guy has made in the past about how he wants to buy Credit Suisse and he can do it, I can totally see him doing something like this. This is exactly what I was expecting. I literally compared him to Do Kwon the other day because he reminds me of him in their way. They're just both so hubris. They're both young guys who clearly had a lot of power running through them, a lot of money, and they just act like they can do anything. No one's going to be able to take them down. And this is exactly how you get taken down. You go out, you make a bunch of dumb comments, you pay influencers to promote your token, and instantly you have all the eyes of the regulators on you. You think, oh, it's no big deal. I'll fight them. I have all this money. Let me just tell you, someone like Justin Sun at Tron is not going to be the person to beat the SEC. I just think ultimately this was a really dumb move by him. Look, he made all this money. He had this cryptocurrency project. Whether or not it was good, I really don't know. But you don't go running around saying all this stuff, bringing the attention to regulators. I just think this was a really bad move by him to kind of do the things he was doing. We'll see how this plays out. Obviously, I don't want to see him get charged if he really wasn't doing anything that bad. Indications are he probably was doing stuff that was bad. Either way, I think the SEC, unfortunately, is probably going to win this case. And this is just a great example of the people who are not adults in the cryptocurrency industry just hurting the entire thing. We have this guy who might force Tron to be a security. It's going to give the SEC more power to go after other projects. But realistically, a lot of us in crypto weren't even supporting what he was doing. And we don't even agree that he was necessarily not a fraudster. Anyway, just wanted to point this out there. I don't have that much information on this case now, but I definitely wanted to bring it to your attention because it's going to be a big deal going forward. Now, I want to move on and talk about the much bigger case, and that is that Coinbase actually got a Wells notice. Now, when Ripple got their Wells notice, or at least made it public, we essentially saw a lawsuit come down in the weeks after. So I do think there's an extremely high probability here that Coinbase is going to get sued by the SEC. Now, I quickly want to break down what Coinbase is getting sued for because the SEC is really focusing on their staking product. Now, I broke down about a month ago why the SEC was suing Kraken and was comparing it to Coinbase's product. And this is very important because I don't know how strong the SEC's case against Coinbase really is. Essentially, the SEC sued Kraken and Kraken admitted they had an illegal security. Actually, to be honest, they didn't actually admit it, they didn't confirm or deny, but in my opinion, they likely had a security. The reason Kraken had a security in their staking product was because they were telling users that they were staking their tokens and then going on the back end and lending out the tokens to make up more yield to try to make customers more happy. Now, the reason why this was a security is because they weren't just giving their users the network rewards. Kraken, the company, was doing things to create more yield, and because of that, investors in that product were counting on Kraken to deliver the yield. The difference between that and what Coinbase is doing is Coinbase is only giving their users the network rewards. Essentially, Coinbase is saying, hey, we're just staking their crypto for them, and then we're giving them that crypto. We're not generating any yield. Investors aren't investing in us to get that yield. We're just giving them the yield from the decentralized network. So as you can tell, there's a pretty big difference in how these products were set up, and because of that, it's going to make a very interesting legal case. Now, I personally think Coinbase is on the right side of the law here. If they're just taking users' assets, staking them for the users, and then the users are getting those rewards, well, the users really aren't counting on Coinbase to generate the yield. They're just counting on Coinbase to give them the yield. Now, that gets into an interesting little predicament on whether or not Coinbase is part of creating the profit, but I don't really see it that way. I really do see it as the SEC was too lazy to try to go after cryptocurrency for their direct network staking because that argument would never work, so the SEC tried to take a shortcut and go after Coinbase instead. Now, this is really going to depend on the judge they get, and this is one of the things I have been hammering as critical in the Ripple SEC case. If Coinbase does not get a judge who wants to figure out the difference between what Kraken did and what Coinbase is doing, then they're going to be in trouble. You need a judge who's going to be willing to understand that staking rewards from a network are a lot different than a company creating that yield on the back end. Now, for some cryptocurrency skeptics, which a lot of judges could be, they might not be willing to understand this difference. So in my opinion, this is actually going to be one of the most critical things in this case. And it really makes you just step back and appreciate how lucky we are we got Judge Torres. We could have got a judge who didn't care at all about cryptocurrencies, looked at XRP and said, hey, this company is using a lot of XRP. Why not just make it a security of that company? I don't care about this cryptocurrency thing. Looks like a security to me. SEC, you're right. That could very well happen. And cryptocurrencies are very complex. They take a lot of understanding to really wrap your head around the nuance on why they shouldn't be a security. So overall, I think Coinbase is going to have to get lucky on a judge, but if they do, I think they're on the right side of the law here. Now, on a completely different issue, I think Coinbase has never looked worse in their decision to delist XRP. Coinbase literally delisted XRP to avoid getting sued by the SEC, and now they're getting sued anyway. When the SEC sued Ripple, Coinbase had a fantastic opportunity to stand up for the entire industry, do what was right, and say, you know what, XRP is clearly not a security, and we're not going to delist XRP until the SEC proves that it is a security. Instead, the SEC ran away with their tail tucked behind their legs, immediately delisted it, and said, please don't sue us, SEC, we didn't do anything wrong. Well, it turns out the SEC just got a fat lawsuit anyway. It made absolutely no difference, and the SEC looks foolish for delisting XRP because what was the point? Now, one very interesting note was actually made by Craig DeWitt. He was a former employee at Ripple. He said, with Coinbase's Wells notice from the SEC and the chance of a big win for Ripple from the court, XRP could become one of the very few crypto assets available in the US for trading. And this is what I have been saying since day one. XRP is in the position to potentially get a fast track to clarity. Now, I know this case has sucked. None of us wanted to go through it. But we may end up on the other side of this thing with clarity that no other digital asset can have. This will make XRP the one-stop shop for any institution who wants exposure to the cryptocurrency market. XRP is going to be the only fully regulated cryptocurrency to be used in the United States financial system. I just want this to be considered. No one knows how this is going to play out, but it is an extremely bullish case, and this entire lawsuit that has held us down for so long is about to get flipped on its head and become one of the most bullish things in XRP's history. So I want to finish this video off with a little Ripple SEC news. I'm going to let John Deaton take this video out because what is better than listening to John Deaton talk about the Ripple SEC case? This guy is an absolute stud and I am so thankful for everything he has done for this community. Anyway, listen up to this.
Very confident, and I've said it on record, I'll say it again. I believe the SEC will lose. Remember, Charlie and I even have that bet. I believe the SEC will lose its summary judgment motion as it's written. That doesn't mean the judge can't split the baby, and it depends on how aggressive she is on wanting to get into the evidence. But the SEC lost their expert for trying to show that XRP holders would have relied on the efforts of Ripple and that they were induced by Ripple. And there's no expert to say that there's no non-investment use of XRP. And then, of course, you have XRP holders brief, you have Spin the Bits brief, and all the other amicus brief, and you've got 3,500 affidavits from XRP holders saying why we used and purchased XRP. And some of them say for investment, like many people did, and many of them talk about for the particular use and moving money and being paid and all those other things. And so there is an area where the judge could say whether or not XRP was purchased for non-investment reasons is an issue of fact for the jury to decide. She could say, as a matter of law, the SEC has not that no reasonable jury could conclude there's a common enterprise and fine for Ripple. Or she could say whether or not there's a common enterprise is an issue for a jury. So it really depends. I'm confident that they're going to lose. And I believe that Ripple has the better chance of an outright win than the SEC does.
So let's see what happens. John Deaton is confident we're going to win this case eventually either way. Let's see how it plays out. For now, I am extremely bullish and just happy we're in this position right now. Anyway, thank you so much for coming. I hope you enjoyed this update. If you did, make sure to like and subscribe. It really does mean so much. And for now, Mickle out.